Welcome to the St. Vrain Sports Report. We're glad to have you along with us. We got a good show for you this week as we preview the Class 4A football state championship game involving the Skyline Falcons. And boy, it's been a long time coming for the Falcons. We're going to talk about that game here in a minute. We're also going to look back at the semifinals and kind of get you up to date on what's going on throughout the state in football. First off, let's start off with some highlights. Back last week at the semifinals for Skyline, and the Falcons down at Echo Park taking on Ponderosa. Falcons making their first appearance in the semifinals since 1999, and they're doing a lot of things they haven't done since 1999. Their best season in nearly 20 years, and they want to keep this thing going. So Jeremy Hollingsworth takes the handoff and goes 25 yards right up the middle, and a nice big run for him, the start of a very big day for the senior. That would set up this pass from Chase Sylvan to Jack Wathen, who somehow pulled this down despite some great coverage by the Mustangs. Wathen with 3 catches for 48 yards on the day, and that big touchdown. Hollingsworth again, and you think this kid wants this one? Look at that run. Powerful run by Hollingsworth, and the senior gets the ball down to the 5-yard line. Falcons fake the handoff to Hollingsworth, and Silva finds Kyle West in the flat. He does the rest for the touchdown and a 13-0 lead in the first quarter. Mustangs looking to get the offense going, but Ethan Drews and the Falcons defense, they were relentless. Drews with the sack right there. Then Ponderosa knocking on the door, but on 4th down, Dylan Hollowell's pass is picked off by Will Drews. The Skyline held the Mustangs to 76 yards in total offense, one of the most dominating efforts we've seen by a Skyline defense in years. Third quarter, Kyle West takes the inside handoff. He goes nearly 20 yards to get the ball inside the 10-yard line. And on the next play, that would set up Jeremy Hollingsworth as he's going to power his way into the end zone from 9 yards out. 206 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground for Hollingsworth, who's just had a phenomenal career for the Falcons the last couple of years. Falcons up 19-0 at that point. Ponderosa seeking any kind of spark. Tries the fake punt, but Skyline is not fooled, stuffing the Mustangs short of the first down marker. And then a few minutes later, it's Silva, the quarterback. He's going to elude the rush, and he's going to find a seam going 10 yards up the middle for the score. Hollingsworth without a 31-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. Skyline advances to the state title game for the first time since 1999. And what a run the Falcons are on right now. It's been fun watching these guys, and that was about as complete of a game as we've seen from them. Remember last year they were so good on offense but could not stop anybody. This year they pitch a shutout in the state semifinals against one of the better teams in the state. Just one of the more complete efforts we've seen. We were able to talk to Coach Mike Silva about that dominating win.
I think it goes back to what we've done in these playoffs is play our best game, and defensively, no doubter. And on a whole, it was still our best game, but defensively, to hold a team that was averaging whatever they were, 37 points a game, and get a shutout in the state semifinals, pretty big, and it was just the tenacity that the guys played with, and I was really proud of them, and the discipline. You know, I think I thought we established a good game plan, and sometimes they're willing to execute on every play, but maybe not one play. Seemingly they executed every play, and that was really cool to watch too. So
we're going to get more into that state championship game coming up here in a minute. Let's take a look back at the semifinal scores in Class 4A, where Skyline, as you saw, 32-0 in that one. They will take on Loveland, which was a 42-0 winner against Montrose. Loveland is just on a roll this season. In the 3A semifinals, Palmer Ridge routs Palisade, number 1 Palisade, 42-7, and Pueblo East, 35-17 over Erie, without Noah Roper, of course, who was injured the previous week with a broken bone in his leg, and he was out for this one. So Erie had a tough time without him. Down 21-3 at the half. They were held to 74 yards rushing, 194 yards of total offense. Caleb Fuhrman, though, 7 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown. But East, 501 yards of total offense, and they dominated that one. So Erie's run, and undefeated run, ends in the state semifinals. So the state football championships, let's think of the matchups coming up here around the state. In the big schools in Class 5A will be number 1 Valor Christian versus number 3 Cherry Creek, and number 2 Loveland against number 9 Skyline. Both those games will be at Broncos Stadium at Mile High in Denver starting at 11 a.m. First state title game since 1999 for Skyline. They lost that game to Green Mountain 42-6. In Class 3, it'll be Pueblo East against Palmer Ridge, which is going for its second straight game, or state title game. Their second straight title. They will play down at CSU Pueblo's Thunderdome. Some final scores in the small school ranks from last week. They are all finished with their championships. La Junta with a low-scoring game against Platte Valley. Lyman is the 1A champion once again. And in 8-man, Sedgwick County beats Honey. And in 6-man, Stratton beats Kit Carson in a rout. So those classifications are done. On to just 3 more state football games left this week in 5A, 4A, and 3A. And of course, one of those is Skyline. And we talked to Coach Silva as well as receiver Kyle West to talk about how they're approaching this week, the biggest game for the program in 19 years.
We're going to do what we do. We take pride in how we prepare, and we're going to continue with the same type of practice plan and do the same types of things that got us to this point, and have the same talks with the team and make sure that we're prepared, mentally, physically, and emotionally, because that'll be a big part of it, no doubt.
I mean, since last summer, we've been really grinding every day. I mean, weightlifting every day in the summer. Throwings on Tuesdays and Thursdays with the skill guys, getting the quarterbacks reps. Just really coming together as a brotherhood is what we really challenge each other, especially for the playoffs. We struggled. We had a couple up and downs during the normal regular season, and then we really just, once reality hit that this could possibly be our last game each week, just really decided to come together as a brotherhood and put our heads together and just go out and win games. One of the big things we preach is legacy and how you want to be remembered, and I think definitely we've done a really good job, and we really hope to bring home those rings for the team and the name and everything being 4A, best in the state.
So Falcons very excited. Let's take a look at the matchup here with Loveland, a team that they know very well. They saw them just a few weeks ago to end the regular season. So the head-to-head matchup, Skyline 10-3, Loveland 13-0. They've just been on a roll all season long. Skyline, now we know they can score pretty well, and their defense is getting much better as the season goes along. 22 points per game, but they're doing much better in the previous weeks. But look at Loveland, allowing 5.3 points per game. They have had 6 shutouts this season. Almost half their opponents they've shut out. Several others they've held to just a touchdown. So Loveland just playing phenomenal defense. And rushing, they don't pass the ball a lot, but 335 yards rushing. Now, these two teams played before. They played on November 2nd. Loveland won that one 42-14, had 466 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground, threw only 4 passes in that game. So Loveland just dominated the Falcons with the ground game. Skyline had 2 turnovers and under 300 yards rushing in that game. And obviously Skyline's got to find a way to stop that running game, get something going offensively. And Coach Silva and West talked about what they learned from that matchup with Loveland and how they can apply that to this week.
We really know Loveland's a really talented team. Personally, I don't think we really came out. I think we played a little scared when we first saw them. Undefeated team, pretty much unmatched up to that point, and still unmatched. I mean, they've been beating teams really good. They're really talented, really big guys. I think we're just going to come out and just play hard. Play our style of ball. Don't go out scared and start fast. Play physical and just don't let them bully us like they kind of did the first game.
They do play a lot of man-to-man, and we have to be very efficient in our route running, and we also have to do a better job at the line of scrimmage. They bring a lot, and again, it's not anything special. They're a 3-3 team and they bring 3, 4, and 5-man pressures, and we have to be ready for that. And it's more about how quick hitting and the kind of athletes that they have versus system. And we just got to be tougher in that situation. We've got to be able to go the extra mile when this dude is going to bull rush us, and we're either going to let him or we're going to grab some dirt and do whatever we have to do to make sure we protect our quarterback so he can get that pass off. Or we're going to have to get up onto a dude, crab, roll, do whatever the heck you have to do, get into that linebacker so our running back can get that extra yard. Those types of things are way more important than the X's and O's, because what our system is good. System is really good, and it moves the football and it scores points. We know that. But are we willing to execute when things get tough and things get tighter? And we've done that. That's been our fight through these playoffs, and that's been our challenge, and we've answered that. And I expect that to happen on Saturday as well.
Honestly, big plays. I mean, big-time playmakers, big plays, and both teams got really good big plays. So, I mean, winning those one-on-one matchups when we can, I mean, the big plays are going to win the game. And we're both very talented teams. Loveland especially is a very big, talented team. We're well aware of that. Whole state's well aware of that. So we just hope to do what we can do and, you know, put our heads together, put a full game together, all 4 quarters, really play with effort, and hopefully just come out and win.
So Skyline in the state title game for the first time since 1999, seeking their first state title since 1986, the year they beat Longmont for their only state championship. So it's been quite a while. Several guys are going to have to step up for them this week. Let's take a look at some of the key players in this matchup for both sides. And starting with Skyline, Chase Silva, the quarterback, the sophomore. Remember, he started the year as the backup, but because of injury, got in there and didn't let go of the job. Almost 2,700 yards passing, 29 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. Jeremy Hollingsworth, we've been talking about him for 2 years now, 1,700 yards rushing, 24 touchdowns. On defense, Will Drews and his brother Ethan lead the way, but Will, 62 tackles. He leads the team in sacks and interceptions. Now, the receivers, Kyle West, Jack Wathen. West leads 4A in receiving yards and receptions, and these two guys, two of the best receivers in Class 4A. So they've got this great offense, but so does Loveland. You got the Zach Weinmaster, the running back, 1,900 yards rushing almost, 28 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on defense. And Riley Kinney, 835 yards rushing and 15 touchdowns. They are a phenomenal 1-2 duo in that backfield for Loveland. And then Michael Deshane, 126 tackles, 11 tackles for loss. He leads a really good Loveland defense that's giving up less than 6 points per game this season. Now, Coach Silva talked about that prolific offense of Loveland and what they've got to do to stop it this week.
You know, they run a single wing, which, you know, I don't know, 50 other teams in Colorado, so that's not really relevant. What's relevant is that they have 11 dudes on their team that are all talented, and they all believe they have a tenacity that they usually bury people in the end because they are that tenacious. So first and foremost, we got to answer that, and then secondly, they have the mentality that if we're going to run this play, regardless of what play it is, it's going to be successful. And they keep that mentality all the time. We've got to match that. You match those two things, then we can start talking a little bit about X's and O's. But first and foremost, we got to match those two things. And I think we have done that throughout these playoffs. So that's the exciting piece, because when we played them, that was not there for us. And that was it was disappointing because it's a conference championship. But it's not oftentimes in life or football that you get a second chance, and we got a second chance on the biggest stage, and we expect to go do the types of things and play the kind of football that we've played the last 3 weeks, and that'll be a different team that Loveland sees. And on the defensive side, we got 3 individuals that did not play in that game that will play this week, and I think they'll all make a really big difference. But at the same time, it's more about that. Like I said, it's more about that, and like I said at the beginning, it's the execution of what we want to get done. It sometimes doesn't occur because of what your opponent is doing, and that can't be a factor. We got to be confident in what we're doing and continue to do it, because that's the other thing in the tight quarters of that double wing and how they play. They will wear you out, and they'll wear you out physically and mentally first. Probably, and we can't do that. We got to be ready for the battle for 4 quarters, and not unlike what we saw with Pine Creek and what we're up against in that situation. And you know, not too many people gave us a chance and all that good stuff, and we rose up and played again our best game. Now, if we outdo ourselves again from the semifinals to the finals, you know, look out. You know, look out. That's where we're at right now in our mentality. So.
It's been a phenomenal run for Mike Silva and the Skyline Falcons, and Mike's done a great job now in his 4th season with the program, and so many 1-9 and like 3-7 type seasons for years for that program. It's really great to see them in this position. They've got a tough task this week against Loveland, but the way they're playing right now and the confidence they've got, don't count out the Falcons to get a state title this weekend. One other thing we want to make note of, there's a big basketball game coming up. Yeah, basketball season starts this week, and there's a big one we want to make you aware of if you want to go see some basketball this weekend. A doubleheader, Longmont at Meade, the girls at 5 p.m. and the boys at 6:30. That'll be a great one to kick things off for the basketball season. Two of the better programs in the area, both boys and girls, in recent years. So go check out some basketball coming up later on this week on Friday night. We want to thank Blaine Robinson and Don Gurton for all the behind-the-scenes work on this show, as well as Blaine and Tim Ells for all the video they do for us. Check out bocopreps.com and the Longmont Times Call. They'll get you up to date on everything going on in high school sports in the area. Also, like us on Facebook. Check us out on the web at longmontchannel.com, where you can watch this or any other programs you like here on Channel 8. And as always, we want to thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you again next week.